The morning sky above Earth was peaceful, painted with soft shades of gold and blue. People in cities, towns, and villages went about their daily lives without knowing that. Beyond the atmosphere, something enormous had arrived. High above the planet, space shimmered with a strange ripple, as if reality itself was being pushed aside. Out of the distortion came massive shaped ships unlike anything humans had ever built. They were not smooth and white like Earth's space stations. These ships were jagged, black, and covered with glowing red lines that pulsed like veins. Each vessel was the size of a mountain, bristling with weapons. From the first ship, a signal spread to every communication system on Earth: radios, televisions, satellites, and even personal devices lit up with the same transmission. The voice was deep, metallic, and carried a cold authority. "This is the Zavalon Dominion," it said. "We claim your world. Kneel before the Dominion, or be erased from existence. You have 7 cycles to comply." People all over the world froze where they stood. In offices, workers stared at screens. In schools, children stopped mid-sentence. Soldiers in military bases listened in silence. The message played again, this time with an image of a towering alien figure with pale silver skin and dark eyes that seemed to see through the viewer. Behind him stood other figures in armor, their faces hidden by masks. The figure continued speaking. "Your weapons are nothing to us. Your fleets are nothing to us. We have conquered worlds greater than yours. Submit, and you will serve the Dominion. Resist, and your species will be no more." In the main meeting hall of the United Earth Defense Council, a storm of voices rose at once. Leaders of nations and commanders of armies argued, shouted, and demanded answers. The council's main screen displayed the alien fleet in orbit. Dozens of colossal ships arranged in a perfect formation. General Harun, head of Earth's orbital defense, spoke with a grim tone. "Our satellites are already under attack. 3 of them have vanished in the last hour." President Alira, leader of the council, leaned forward. "Vanished, not destroyed." Harun shook his head. "Gone without a trace. No debris. No heat signature. It's like they were pulled out of reality." The council chamber grew quiet. If the aliens had that kind of technology, Earth's defenses might not even get the chance to fire before being wiped out. While the politicians debated surrender or negotiation, a quiet signal traveled through secure military channels. It bypassed public systems and went straight to hidden installations deep underground. The message was only 3 words long: Black Armada Protocol. Far from Earth, beyond the orbit of Mars, massive shapes rested in the darkness. They were hidden in the shadow of Jupiter's largest moon, Ganymede, their black holes blending perfectly into the void. These ships were unlike any others in human space. They carried no markings, no registry numbers. To the public, they did not exist. Even among Earth's military, only a handful of people knew of them. The Black Armada had been built in secret over decades. It was not a defensive fleet. It was a fleet designed for one purpose: to strike back against anyone who dared threaten humanity. Its weapons were experimental, many of them built using fragments of alien technology recovered from forgotten wars and distant systems. On one of the ships, deep in the command deck, a man sat in silence, staring at the faint light of the planet far away. His name was Commander Rylan. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. He had seen battles most people would never believe. Years ago, he had walked away from service after leading a victory that should have been impossible. Now, without a single question, he was returning. A voice came over the internal comms. "Commander, orders from Earth Defense Council have arrived. Black Armada is to mobilize at once." Rylan stood and looked at the crew around him. They were the best of the best pilots, engineers, and tacticians who had been chosen for their skill and loyalty. None of them asked why they were being deployed. They knew the meaning of the alien fleet above Earth. "Bring the ships online." Rylan said, "Full power. Prepare jump drives. We move within the hour." Across the hidden dockyards in Ganymede's shadow, the Black Armada came alive. Engines rumbled like distant thunder. Hull plating shifted, revealing banks of weapons. Lights flickered on, but they were not bright like those of civilian ships. They were dark, deep, almost predatory, designed to be invisible against the stars. Back on Earth, fear was spreading. News channels replayed the alien message over and over. Some people spoke of surrender to save lives. Others demanded resistance, no matter the cost. In the streets, arguments broke out. The sky was still calm, but everyone knew danger was waiting above. In the alien flagship, the Zavalon leader, Vuruk, watched Earth's broadcast with interest. He had conquered dozens of worlds, but humans fascinated him. They argued endlessly. Even in the face of death, he considered them chaotic, perhaps even foolish. But there was something in their eyes, something that made him cautious. Vuruk turned to one of his officers. Keep the fleet in position. Destroy any ship that tries to leave orbit. We will give them time to submit. Fear will break them faster than weapons. Yet as he spoke, far beyond his sensors, the Black Armada was already on the move. The human fleet did not approach directly. Instead, they shifted into a formation designed for stealth. Their jump drives began to hum, and space around them rippled faintly. Commander Ryland stood at the front of his ship's command deck, watching the navigational display. His voice was calm, but there was steel in it. The Dominion wants us to kneel. Let's show them what happens when they try. In that moment, Earth's fate hung in the balance. The alien fleet waited in orbit, confident in their power. The world's leaders argued in their chamber, unsure of what choice to make. And in the cold dark beyond Jupiter, humanity's most dangerous warships prepared to enter the fight. The countdown began. 10 minutes until the first jump. 10 minutes until the Black Armada revealed itself to the galaxy. Somewhere deep inside every crew member, there was no fear, only the quiet certainty that they were about to make history. Far beyond Earth, the shadows of Jupiter's largest moon stretched across space. Within those shadows, an entire fleet rested in silence. Their hulls were blacker than the void, swallowing the faint light of the distant sun. For years, these ships had waited without movement, hidden from the eyes of both humans and aliens. This was the Black Armada. The fleet had been built over decades in secret, away from the eyes of the public and even most of the military. Only the United Earth Defense Council and a small number of trusted officers knew of its existence. Every ship was a masterpiece of engineering design, not only by Earth's greatest minds, but also by integrating fragments of alien technology recovered from battles long past. The project's goal had never been simple defense. These ships were meant for swift, decisive strikes designed to crush any enemy that dared to threaten humanity. In the command ship Obsidian Spear, Commander Ryland stood at the viewing deck. The giant windows showed nothing but endless blackness. But he knew what was hidden out there. The rest of his fleet spread across the shadow zone, waiting for his signal. Status report, Ryland said. His voice was calm, but every officer on the deck could feel the weight behind his words. Engines are fully charged, replied Lieutenant Mara, the navigation officer. Jump drives are on standby. Cloaking systems are at full strength. Weapon systems, Ryland asked. Chief Engineer Voss, a tall man with grease stains on his uniform, answered without looking up from his console. Rail cannons ready. Plasma lances ready. Dagger missiles loaded in all tubes. The swarm drones are charged and awaiting deployment. Ryland nodded slowly. Good. Bring the rest of the fleet online. Across the darkness, one by one, the silent ships began to wake. At first it was only a faint hum, like a distant storm. Then lights flickered deep within the hull's low, muted glows that were invisible from far away. Enormous engines began to pulse with quiet power. Hull plates shifted slightly as weapons emerged from hidden compartments. These ships had been built for stealth and speed, not for show. Inside each vessel, crew members worked with disciplined precision. Pilots ran simulations, engineers checked systems, and tacticians studied battle data from the Zavalon Dominion's past wars. The humans had never fought this enemy before, but they had studied them for years. Every scrap of information, battle reports, intercepted transmissions, wreckage from old Dominion skirmishes had been analyzed on the Obsidian Spear. Ryland stood beside a holographic projection of the solar system, a cluster of red symbols. Near Earth represented the Zavalon fleet, even without detail. Their formation was intimidating, dozens of massive ships, arranged in a perfect sphere round the planet. Mara zoomed in on the display. They've tightened their blockade. No ship leaves or enters Earth's orbit without passing through at least 3 Dominion vessels. Voss gave a small smirk. That's fine. We're not going in the front door. Ryland studied the projection. They expect us to defend Earth directly. They want a straight fight. We'll give them something else. First, we weaken them. We take away their supplies, their communication, their control over our skies. When they think they've cornered us, that's when we hit them. Mara raised an eyebrow. So we begin with harassment strikes. Yes, Ryland said. We make them bleed slowly. A soft chime echoed through the deck as encrypted orders from the Defense Council arrived. The message was short. Black Armada operate with full authority. Victory by any means. The crew exchanged quick glances. It was rare for Earth's leaders to grant such freedom to a military unit. It meant the situation was worse than they had. Imagine, Ryland turned to his officers. We jump in 30 minutes. Targets will be assigned to each squadron. Remember, we are unseen until we strike. No unnecessary risks. If you are caught, you disappear before they can take you. The officers saluted and began moving with renewed urgency. Across the fleet, engines rumbled louder as final checks were completed. In the hangar bay, pilots prepared their smaller crafts sleek. Black fighters designed for both space and atmospheric combat. Technicians secured weapons and refueled engines. The air smelled faintly of heated metal and ozone. Lieutenant Mara walked over to Ryland as he observed the hangar. You've been in a lot of battles, Commander. Do you think we can win this one? Ryland's gaze remained fixed on the fighters. We don't need to win it all at once. We just need to make the Dominion understand that Earth is not prey. At that moment, the fleet's AI network came online, each ship's systems synced with the others, creating a shared battlefield awareness. The AI was not fully autonomous. Human commanders still made the decisions, but it processed data at incredible speed, predicting enemy movements and analyzing weaknesses. When the 30 minutes were up, the fleet gathered into jump formation. The Black Armada did not use the bright, flashing warp signatures of civilian ships. Instead, their jump drives opened faint ripples in space, barely visible. And then the ships slid into the distortion without sound or light. They emerged far from Earth, near the orbit of Neptune, where no Dominion ship was stationed. From there, they began their first movement, scouting enemy patrol routes, identifying weak points, and planning the first strikes on the alien flagship above Earth. Zurich received no reports of enemy movements. As far as the Dominion knew, humanity was cowering below. That suited Ryland perfectly. In the crew quarters, soldiers spoke quietly among themselves. Many had families on Earth. Some had never faced a real battle, yet there was no fear in their eyes, only determination. They knew why they were here. Hours later, the first mission orders came through. A Dominion supply convoy was moving from its carrier to an orbital station above the moon. It was lightly guarded, the perfect target for the Black Armada's opening strike. Ryland gave the order. Squadron 1, move to intercept. No survivors. Leave nothing they can track. In the cold space between planets, 3 black warships detached from the formation and vanished into the void. Moments later, they appeared beside the convoy, their weapons already charging. The Dominion escorts barely had time to react before rail cannon rounds tore through their hulls. The supply ships tried to flee, but swarm drones swarmed over them, cutting through armor like paper. Within minutes, the entire convoy was gone. There was no explosion to mark its end, only silence. In empty space. Back on the obsidian spear, Ryland watched the mission feed. He gave a single nod. First strike complete. The Dominion will notice soon. Let's make sure they never know where we'll hit next. The Black Armada moved deeper into the system, unseen and unstoppable. The awakening was complete. The hunt had begun. The cold silence of space hid the quiet war already in motion. For 2 days, the Black Armada had struck at the Zavalon Dominion in ways the invaders could not predict. Supply convoys vanished. Communication relays failed. Patrol ships disappeared without leaving wreckage behind. The The Dominion had begun to notice. On the alien flagship, Supreme Commander Viewership stood before a large tactical display. Red markers blinked out one after another. His officers spoke in low, nervous voices. Reports from the lunar station indicate total loss of resupply capability, said one officer. The convoy from Sector 9 is gone. Escorts failed to send a distress signal. Viewership narrowed his eyes. These are not random acts. The humans are striking with precision. They are testing us. Another officer added, long-range scans detect no enemy fleet. They must be using small strike forces, then vanishing before we can respond. Viewership's voice was calm but sharp. Then we force them into open battle. Send out the intercept. Wings, spread them thin. When the humans move to attack one, the others will converge. While the Dominion prepared its trap, far from their fleet, the Black Armada was already planning the next strike. Inside the Obsidian Spear, Commander Ryland studied the latest intel. They're moving patrol groups into a net formation, reported. Lieutenant Mara, if we engage one, we'll have 2 or 3 more on us within minutes. Ryland leaned closer to the display. Then we hit them hard enough that they don't have minutes to react. Chief Engineer Voss grinned faintly. Time to see what the new plasma lances can do. Ryland pointed to a patrol wing near the asteroid belt. That's our target. They're far enough from the main fleet that we can take them before the others close in. We'll use the rocks for cover. Minutes later, the Black Armada ships designated for the mission were in position. 3 warships, Obsidian Spear, Iron Fang, and Shadow's Edge, slid silently into the asteroid field. Their black holes blended with the shadows of drifting stone. On board, the crews worked with quiet focus, weapons charged. Shields shifted into a defensive spread. The hum of the engines was the only sound besides the soft voices of the officers. The Zevalon patrol wing was moving in a slow sweep. Their ships were sharp and angular, glowing faintly along their edges. The patrol leader, unaware of the danger, sent routine scans into the belt. The readings returned nothing unusual until it was to late dot from behind a large asteroid. The Obsidian Spear lunged forward, its rail cannons firing in rapid bursts. The first Dominion frigate took 3 direct hits along its central spine. The armor cracked, and the ship broke apart in a burst of venting atmosphere. Before the other Dominion ships could react, the Iron Fang emerged from the opposite side, unleashing a volley of dagger missiles. The missiles streaked across the darkness, weaving past incoming fire, and slammed into the enemy's engines. One ship's rear section exploded, sending it spinning out of control. The Shadow's Edge moved next, deploying its swarm drones. Dozens of small, black machines zipped through space, cutting into enemy hulls with precision lasers. The drones avoided weapon fire with sudden, darting movements. Inside the Dominion ships, alarms blared. Crew members scrambled to respond, but the attack was too sudden, too fast. Ryland's voice was steady over the fleet channel. Keep pressure on them. No survivors. The patrol leader tried to call for reinforcements, but the signal never left. His ship, the Black Armada's jamming field, had locked down communications. A Dominion heavy cruiser swung its main guns toward the Obsidian Spear. Brilliant beams of energy sliced across the asteroid belt, turning rock into molten debris. Ryland ordered evasive maneuvers, and the ship slid behind a cluster of large boulders. Plasma lances ready, Voss announced. Fire, Ryland commanded, from the bow of the Obsidian Spear. Two concentrated beams of blue-white energy shot forward. They punched through the cruiser's shields in seconds and burned straight through its hull. The ship's central reactor went critical, and the explosion lit up the asteroid field like a new star. Only one Dominion frigate remained. Its captain, realizing the hopelessness of the fight, tried to break away, but the Shadow's Edge was already in pursuit. A final rail cannon round struck the fleeing ship, tearing it in half. The silence that followed was complete. The asteroid field drifted quietly again, now littered with fragments of alien ships. Ryland scanned the field. Recover what we can. We want every scrap of tech they were carrying. Then we vanish. Within minutes, salvage drones were at work. Pieces of Dominion armor, weapon cores, and data modules were collected and pulled into the cargo bays. Every recovered fragment could be studied, giving humanity an edge in the battles to come. But the Black Armada did not stay to celebrate. The moment their work was done, the ships powered down weapons, activated cloaking, and slipped out of the asteroid belt. They jumped to a new hidden position before the Dominion reinforcements arrived. On the alien flagship, Viewerk received the report. The patrol wing had been destroyed completely. No distress signals, no survivors, no sensor trails to follow. For the first time in years, Viewerk felt something close to unease. These humans were not like the other species he had conquered. They fought with precision and cunning. They did not waste ships in foolish charges. But they also did not hesitate to destroy their enemies completely. One of his officers spoke cautiously. It may be wise to increase the fleet's readiness. These attackers will strike again. Viewerk stared at the tactical display, his voice low. Oh, they will. And when they do, we will crush them. Prepare the trap. Far from the Dominion's sensors, the Black Armada regrouped in the shadow of a distant moon. The crews rested briefly, but no one believed the war would slow down. The first true clash had shown the Dominion a taste of what humanity could do. The next battles would be even fiercer. Ryland stood alone on the Obsidian Spear's observation deck, watching the stars. His mind was already on the next move. The Dominion wanted to lure them into a trap. That meant the Black Armada had a chance to turn that trap into a weapon against the enemy. Let them come, Ryland said quietly to himself. We'll be ready. The destruction of the patrol wing sent a ripple of fear through the Zavalon. Dominion fleet, for centuries, they had crushed resistance with overwhelming force. Now, for the first time in living memory, they faced an enemy that fought from the shadows and vanished before they could strike back. In the war room of the Dominion flagship, Supreme Commander Viewerk studied the map of the solar system. Red markers showed the positions of his ships. Yellow warning symbols marked recent losses. Too many of those yellow markers were appearing. These humans are bleeding us slowly. Viewerk said to his officers. They take what they want, destroy what they wish, and leave nothing behind. This cannot continue. An officer suggested, we spread the fleet even wider. Cover every possible route. They cannot hide forever. Viewerk shook his head. No, that is what they want. The more we spread out, the easier we are to isolate and destroy. He tapped the map. We will appear weak in one area, draw them to attack, and then close the trap, while the Dominion prepared their bait. Far from their fleet, the Black Armada was already on the move. In the command center of the Obsidian Spear, Commander Ryland listened to the latest intelligence. Dominion supply lines are stretched thin, reported Lieutenant Mara. They've had to double the speed of their resupply convoys because of our raids. That means fewer escorts and more mistakes. Chief Engineer Voss leaned over the display. If we keep cutting them off, they'll start running low on fuel and ammunition. Ryland nodded. And when they're desperate, they'll make a mistake, big enough for us to break them for the next week. The Black Armada moved like ghosts through the system. One night they appeared above a Dominion mining platform near Mars and destroyed it before the alarm could be raised. The next day they struck a relay station in the asteroid belt, silencing one of the Dominion's main communication hubs. Every strike was planned to the smallest detail. The Armada never appeared in the same place twice in a row. After each attack, they jumped to a new hiding place behind moons, inside asteroid shadows, or deep in the outer system where sensors were weak. The Dominion tried to respond. They sent out faster patrols. They deployed scout drones in every sector. But the Black Armada always seemed one step ahead. Whenever a Dominion force arrived at a location, the humans were already gone, leaving behind only drifting debris and unanswered questions inside the shadow's edge. Captain Arena led a raid on a small Dominion fuel depot orbiting Saturn. Her ship approached slowly, using the planet's rings as cover. The ice and rock of the rings masked their movement from enemy sensors. When they were in range, Arena gave the order. Rail cannons fired in rapid sequence, tearing through the depot's main fuel lines. A bright flash followed as the fuel ignited, engulfing the station in fire. Before the nearby Dominion frigates could react, The shadow's edge had already turned and vanished behind the rings, disappearing into the black. Back on the obsidian spear, Rylan received the report and smiled. Faintly, "Good work. That will slow their fleet movements near Saturn." But Rylan knew that each successful strike brought them closer to the inevitable moment, when the Dominion would set a trap. That was why he had a counterplan. "They'll try to lure us soon," he told his officers. "When they do, we'll hit them harder than they expect. I want every ship ready for sudden engagement." Days later, the bait appeared. A Dominion convoy, larger than usual, was spotted moving slowly near Neptune. It had minimal escort and was carrying large amounts of equipment, at least according to the intercepted signals. On the bridge, Lieutenant Marr read the report aloud. "If this is real, they're moving half a city's worth of resources. Easy. Target, Vosfrown. Too easy." Rylan studied the data in silence. "It's bait. No convoy that valuable would move with so little protection unless they wanted us to see it. But we'll take the bait on our terms." He laid out the plan. The obsidian spear and Iron Fang would approach the convoy directly, drawing out the hidden Dominion reinforcements. Meanwhile, the rest of the Armada would wait in the dark beyond Neptune's orbit, ready to strike from behind once the trap was triggered. The operation began at once. The two lead ships moved in quietly, their weapons powered but not yet active. As expected, the convoy didn't run. Instead, several massive Dominion warships decloaked around it. "Reinforcements incoming," Marr called out. Rylan didn't flinch. "Signal the fleet." Now, from the outer darkness, the rest of the Black Armada surged forward. Their jump drives flared for just an instant before the ships emerged behind the Dominion formation. Weapons lit up the black, rail cannon fire, slicing through the larger ships before they could turn, caught between two forces. The Dominion fleet fought hard but without coordination. The Iron Fang crippled a cruiser with a barrage of dagger missiles. The Shadow's edge swarmed over a battleship, drones carving into its engines. The obsidian spear unleashed plasma lances that cut straight through enemy shields within minutes. The trap had reversed. The convoy's escorts were gone. The warships either destroyed or retreating in chaos. The supposed valuable cargo was just empty containers, proof that the Dominion had tried to lure the Armada. As the last enemy ship jumped away, Rylan ordered a full retreat. "We've made our point. They'll think twice before trying this again." Back on the flagship, Viewership received the humiliating news. The trap had failed. Instead of crushing the humans, he had lost more ships. "They are not fighting a war." Viewership growled. "They are hunting us. That ends now." But Rylan's fleet had no plans to stop. The Shadow War was far from over. Every Dominion loss weakened their grip on Earth's skies. Every strike sent a message that humanity would not be controlled. And somewhere in the depths of the solar system, the Black Armada prepared for their next move. Knowing the final battle was drawing closer, the Shadow War had left scars across the solar system. Dominion wreckage drifted among the asteroids, silent reminders of battles lost. Supply lines were broken, communications disrupted, and morale among the alien soldiers was beginning to crack. But for Supreme Commander Viewership, this only meant one thing: he had to deliver a decisive blow. The longer the Black Armada was free to move, the more control the Dominion lost. On the flagship, Viewership stood before a display showing Saturn's orbit. His voice was steady but cold. "The humans favor ambush and speed. We will force them into a battlefield they cannot escape. Here, in the shadow of the rings, we will finish them." The plan was set. A large portion of the Dominion fleet would appear to be conducting a resupply operation near Saturn. In reality, powerful hidden batteries, minefields, and cloaked reinforcements would surround the area. Any human force entering would find themselves trapped between overwhelming firepower. Far away, in the command center of the Obsidian Spear, Rylan studied the intercepted transmissions. They showed a patterned Dominion ships gathering near Saturn, but with far more cargo haulers than usual. Lieutenant Marr spoke first. "It's another trap. They've learned from Neptune. This time they'll have more ships, more firepower." Chief Engineer Voss tapped the display. Those rings will block sensors. We won't know what's waiting until we're inside. Ryland's eyes narrowed. Then we use the rings to our advantage. If they've prepared for us, we'll prepare for them twice over. The plan was bold. The Black Armada would approach Saturn, but instead of coming in above or below the plane of the rings, they would hide inside them. Thousands of chunks of rock and ice, some as large as mountains, moved at high speed around the planet. Any ship traveling inside had to move carefully or risk being torn apart. But the Armada's navigators knew how to use the cover. Hours later, the mission began. The Obsidian Spear led the formation, gliding silently between glittering shards of ice. The light from the distant sun reflected off the rings, creating shifting patterns of shadow. The fleet's engines ran at low power to avoid detection. From the bridge, the rings stretched endlessly in every direction, like frozen rivers in space. The crew worked in silence, watching sensors and adjusting the ship's path through the drifting debris. When they reached striking distance, the trap revealed itself. Dozens of Dominion warships emerged from hiding, blocking the exits from the ring sector. Cloaked mines powered up, their fields sparking faintly in the darkness. Energy batteries hidden on the outer edges of the rings began to charge. On the Dominion flagship, Viewership gave the order, "Close the net, do not let a single human ship escape." But Ryland had been expecting this. All ships. He commanded over the fleet channel, execute Phase 2. At once, hundreds of small objects were released from the Black Armada ships to the Dominion. They appeared to be harmless chunks of ice. In reality, they were weaponized drones disguised to blend perfectly with the ring debris. The Dominion ships advanced, but the drones activated, locking onto targets. Some exploded near minefields, clearing safe paths for the Armada to maneuver. Others swarmed the smaller Dominion craft, cutting through armor with precision beams. The larger Armada ships used the chaos to strike. The Iron Fang launched a spread of dagger missiles, each weaving between ring particles before slamming into enemy hulls. The Shadow's Edge moved low through the debris, firing on weapon batteries before they could complete their charge. In the middle of the chaos, Ryland ordered the Obsidian Spear to aim for the Dominion flagship's forward command section. The plasma lances burned through the protective shields and tore open the hull. Even with damage control teams working quickly, the flagship lost one of its main targeting arrays. But the battle was far from one-sided. Dominion cruisers used gravity weapons to push chunks of the rings toward human ships, turning the natural cover into deadly projectiles. One Armada frigate was struck and torn apart in a flash of light. Ryland didn't hesitate. Shift formation, use the debris field they've created, turn it back on them. The human ships began pushing massive ice chunks toward the Dominion lines, using them as both cover and weapons. Several enemy ships were forced to break formation to avoid collisions, weakening their trap. Then came the decisive move from deep within the rings. The Black Talon, one of the Armada's fastest strike cruisers, made a high-speed run directly at the minefield guarding the main escape route. Its forward shields blazed as it absorbed incoming fire. At the last moment, it released a cluster of drones programmed to detonate in sequence. The chain reaction ripped through the mines, leaving a clear path. Ryland seized the opportunity. All ships break through. We leave them holding empty space. The Armada surged forward, weapons firing in all directions to cover the retreat. Several Dominion ships tried to block them, but the human formation pushed through with brutal precision. By the time the Dominion regrouped, the Black Armada was gone, vanishing into the shadows beyond Saturn. On the alien flagship, Viewership stared at the aftermath. His trap had been sprung, but instead of capturing the humans, he had lost ships, weapons, and valuable ground. Worse, the humans had once again turned his own strategy against him. He slammed his fist against the tactical console. They are not soldiers, they are predators, and they are hunting us. Back aboard the Obsidian Spear, the mood was grim but steady. The fleet had survived, but at a cost to ships lost. Several heavily damaged. Repairs would take time, but the battle had proven something important. Mara approached Ryland on the observation deck. "We should have been destroyed today. Instead, we broke their trap. Ryland's gaze remained on the stars. We didn't win because we were stronger. We won because we understood the battlefield better than they did. And that's how we're going to end this war for the first time. The crew began to believe that victory was not just possible, it was coming. The battle over Saturn had been dangerous, but it had shown that the Black Armada could not only survive against the Dominion, but could outthink them. The turning point had been reached. Now, Ryland was ready to take the fight straight to the heart of the enemy's control over Earth. The solar system held its breath as the Black Armada gathered in the shadows beyond Jupiter. Every ship was battle-ready. Every crew member knew what was coming. The final stage of their plan was dangerous beyond imagination. But the time for ambushes and shadow strikes had passed. Now, the humans would take the fight to the heart of. The Dominion. Commander Ryland stood on the bridge of the Obsidian Spear, staring at the holographic map of the inner system. Red symbols marked Dominion installations surrounding Earth orbital control beacons, weapons platforms, and the massive command ship where Supreme Commander Viewership had stationed himself. "This is it," Ryland said quietly. His officers looked at him, their faces calm but tense. "Everything we have worked for comes down to this strike. We hit the command ship and the orbital beacons at the same time. If we succeed, we remove the Dominion's ability to control Earth." Lieutenant Mara tapped her console. "It's risky. The beacons are heavily defended, and the command ship is at the center of their strongest fleet formation. Any mistake could cost us half the Armada before we even reach them." Ryland nodded. "We won't make mistakes. We have the advantage of surprise, timing, and coordination. Every ship knows its role. Execute precisely, and we succeed. Hesitate, and we fail. There is no in-between." Across the fleet, pilots checked their fighters, engineers ran final diagnostics, and navigators studied courses through tight asteroid fields and gravitational pockets. Every ship's AI system was synced with Ryland's command network, ready to respond instantly to changes in the battlefield. Hours later, the Armada moved in silence, slipping past Dominion sensors like shadows over the ice of Ganymede. They divided into squads. Some ships would strike the orbital beacons. Others would go directly for the command ship, and a final group would remain hidden, ready to intercept reinforcements. The approach was tense, even with stealth. The first signs of detection could bring overwhelming firepower down on the human fleet. "Commander," Mara said, her voice tight, "sensors are picking up minor patrols near the inner orbit. Nothing major, but they're moving fast." Ryland considered the display. "We expected that. Leave them. Focus on the primary targets. They'll come to us when we're ready." As the Armada neared the first orbital beacon, the ships went into coordinated attack mode. The Shadow's Edge and Iron Fang surged forward, weapons blazing. Rail cannons cut through the energy shields surrounding the beacon. Swarm drones were deployed, slipping past defensive arrays and dismantling the structure piece by piece. The Dominion crews were stunned. They had expected humans to strike in small numbers, but the Black Armada had coordinated dozens of ships with flawless timing. Meanwhile, the Obsidian Spear led a squadron toward Viewership's command ship. The vessel was massive, bristling with weapons and protected by multiple layers of shields. Yet the humans moved with precision, avoiding traps and striking weak points the Dominion had never considered. Viewership's voice echoed through the command ship, "Bring them down. They will not reach me." A sudden volley of energy beams raked across the lead ships. The Obsidian Spear tilted sharply, absorbing several hits with its reinforced shields. Crew members worked quickly, rerouting power and preparing counterfire. Ryland remained calm. "Return fire. Target the shield generators first. Once those are down, the main cannons follow." Missiles streaked through space. Rail cannon fired toward hulls, and plasma lances sliced through the outer defenses. In minutes, the command ship's forward shields were failing. Ryland ordered the final strike. All weapons, fire. The Obsidian Spear and supporting ships unleashed a coordinated barrage. Every energy beam, missile, and rail shot focused on a single point, the heart of the command ship. Explosions rippled across the alien vessel. Sensors recorded catastrophic damage back at the orbital beacons. The other squads had succeeded as well. One by one, the massive structures fell. Without their guidance, the Dominion's ability to monitor and control Earth was shattered. Vorax. Crews scrambled to respond, but it was too late. The humans had chosen the moment and location perfectly. Every move of the Armada had been calculated to leave the Dominion trapped between multiple attacks. Ryland's voice remained steady as he coordinated the final phase. Deploy the hidden strike group. Block escape routes. No ship leaves this zone intact. From the shadows, human ships emerged, cutting off the remaining Dominion vessels. Fighters engaged in precise dogfights, avoiding collisions with wreckage from the command ship and beacons. Swarm drones disabled engines and weapons systems of the alien fleet, ensuring that escape was impossible. The battle raged across space, but the Black Armada had the upper hand. Every Dominion ship that tried to flee was intercepted. Every weapon battery that fired at humans was neutralized. It was a perfect combination of surprise, strategy, and technology inside the Obsidian Spear. Ryland allowed himself a moment to breathe. He knew the battle was not over, but he also knew the Dominion had lost control. Earth would be free from their grip, and the humans had proven that they were a force the galaxy could not ignore. Finally, the last Dominion vessel surrendered. Sensors confirmed that the command ship was critically damaged, orbital beacons destroyed, and reinforcements blocked. The Dominion fleet had been broken. Ryland addressed the crew through the comm network. Today, we made history. The Dominion believed Earth could be crushed. They believed we would kneel. Instead, we have shown them the strength of humanity. Rest now, but remain alert. Our work is not finished. The galaxy has taken notice, and the next steps are ours to decide. Throughout the Black Armada, the crews celebrated quietly. Victory was theirs, but they knew the road ahead remained uncertain. The Dominion still existed, still had power, and could regroup. Yet humanity had proven that they could strike with precision, courage, and intelligence unmatched by any alien invader. Ryland returned to the observation deck, looking at Earth from the shadows beyond Jupiter. The planet glowed peacefully, unaware of how close it had come to destruction, and yet safe because of the humans who had dared to fight back. This is only the beginning, he said softly. The galaxy will learn to respect humanity. The Black Armada began its slow retreat into the outer system, damaged ships limping back to repair zones. Others carrying vital intelligence recovered from the Dominion. The solar system was quiet once more, but it was a quiet born of victory, not surrender. The final gambit had succeeded. The Dominion's hold on Earth was broken. Humanity had struck decisively, demonstrating that even against impossible odds, they would not bow. And in the hearts of the Armada crews, there was a new certainty. Humanity would not kneel. Humanity would not hide. Humanity had begun its rise among the stars. The solar system was quiet after the storm of the Black Armada's final strike. Dominion ships that had survived either retreated into the depths of space or were left stranded and powerless. Earth's orbit was free once more. Humanity had survived, and the Dominion had learned a lesson it would not forget. On the Obsidian Spear, Commander Ryland stood at the observation deck, looking at the blue planet below. From this distance, Earth seemed peaceful, calm, and unaware of the war raging above it. But Ryland knew the truth. Humanity had been on the brink, and it had survived because it had chosen courage over fear, action over submission. Commander, Lieutenant Mara said as she joined him, "We've finished. Immediate repairs. The fleet is ready to return home." But what now? Ryland didn't answer immediately. He watched the rotation of Earth, imagining the people below, the farmers, the scientists, the children unaware of the war above their heads. Finally, he spoke. "Now we send a message, not just to the Dominion, but to every intelligent being in the galaxy. Humanity is awake. Humanity will not kneel." Chief Engineer Voss walked in, carrying a data module from the recovered Dominion fleet. "We've collected enough intelligence to understand their wider network. We can use it to communicate our victory, or to warn others not to underestimate us." Rylan nodded. Exactly. Prepare the signal. It will carry across the system and beyond. Every world within sensor range should see it. And every intelligent species capable of detection will know we exist and what we are capable of. The cross. The fleet, engineers, and communications officers began working on the message. It was not just a warning. It was a declaration, a statement of existence and strength. Symbols and languages were carefully chosen to convey that humanity had survived, had fought back, and had won. At the same time, the message left an open hand to those who sought peace rather than conflict. Rylan watched as the fleet coordinated. The effort, signals were boosted by the largest arrays on the Obsidian Sphere, amplified through relay satellites, and encoded in multiple formats so any intelligent species could detect them, interpret them, and understand them. As the message was prepared, reports from the solar system arrived. Dominion ships in the outer belt have powered down, Mara said. They are leaving, retreating, or surrendering. There's no organized resistance remaining in this sector. Good, Rylan said. That means Earth is safe for now, but we cannot let our guard down. The galaxy is large, and other threats will see our weakness or our strength. That is why this message must be clear. Humanity is capable, vigilant, and united in the communication chamber. Officers watched the progress bars as the massive signal prepared to transmit. The energy levels were unlike any transmission Earth had ever sent. A control burst would carry the message across light years, visible to anyone who knew where to look. Message ready, the chief communications officer said. All systems align. Transmission begins on your order. Rylan placed his hand on the console. Do it. Send it to the stars. A surge of power flowed through the fleet's arrays. Light flared from the Obsidian Sphere and supporting ships, directed outward into the void. The encoded symbols spread across the system, riding waves of electromagnetic energy and neutrino bursts. They traveled faster than any human or Dominion ship could move. Outside the ships, the glow was brief but brilliant. Any advanced civilization observing the system would notice it immediately. A human mark on the galaxy, a message both warning and welcoming. In the command center, Mara watched the readings. It's going out. Every system within reach will receive it in hours, days, or years depending on their distance, and it's already reaching Dominion-controlled sectors. Their sensors are picking it up. Voss leaned back with a satisfied smile. They'll understand. Humanity is not to be underestimated. Rylan remained at the observation deck, silent for a moment, thinking of what had been accomplished. The Black Armada had fought brilliantly. Every officer, every pilot, every engineer had done their part. Humanity had survived the impossible and had struck decisively to protect their world. But more than victory, Rylan understood that this was the beginning. Humanity had risen from fear and oppression. They had proven they could fight and think strategically on a galactic scale. They had demonstrated resilience, ingenuity, and courage. And now, the message to the stars was a declaration that they would continue to rise. Commander, Mara said softly, the message will reach beyond the Dominion. What if others respond? Rylan smiled faintly. Then we will meet them as we always have, together, prepared and unafraid. We do not start wars, but we will finish them if threatened. That is what humanity has become. Far from Earth, the Dominion fleet watched the transmission with confusion and fear. Viewership realized the message was more than a warning. It was proof. Humanity had the power, the strategy, and the resolve to challenge even the most dominant forces in the galaxy. Viewership gritted his teeth. They survived, and they struck back. This changes everything. The galaxy will remember them. But this is not over. Back on the Obsidian Sphere, Rylan turned from the observation deck. The galaxy will know our name. The stars themselves will remember that humans do not kneel. Crew members across the fleet exchanged quiet smiles and nods. The long war was not yet finished in every sector, but humanity had taken the first step to secure its place among the stars. They had survived an enemy that had believed them weak. They had risen stronger than ever. In the months that followed, the Black Armada returned to Earth orbit to repair and refit. The planet below celebrated quietly as humanity prepared for a future that had been uncertain only days before. Scientists studied the recovered technology. Engineers refined the ships, and soldiers shared stories of the battles that had secured their freedom. But every human remembered the message they had sent to the stars, a message not only to warn, but to declare existence, strength, and unity. Commander Ryland stood once more on the observation deck, looking at Earth. The ocean sparkled. The continents stretched wide and green, and the atmosphere shimmered softly. In the sunlight, below lay the world they had fought to protect. Above, the stars awaited. The galaxy has seen us, he said quietly, and now it will know what humanity can do. The Black Armada had completed its mission. Earth was safe. The Dominion was weakened, and humanity had sent its message to the stars loud, clear, and undeniable. The human race had risen, and nothing could stop them now. The stars held promise, challenge, and unknown possibilities. But for the first time, humanity faced the future without fear. They had survived, they had fought, and they had declared to the galaxy that they would never kneel. And from that day forward, every star system that watched the message knew the same truth. Humanity was awake, and the galaxy would remember. The story ends with humanity victorious, the Black Armada triumphant, and the message to the stars securing humanity's reputation and future in the galaxy.